Welcome to the Thrive Today podcast. I'm Natalie Born. I'm the media host for Thrive Today and the founder of Innovation Meets Leadership. Look, we are a podcast for women who lead and believe. And today we have Valorie Burton back with us. And I'm so excited for her to talk to you today. She has been on the podcast before, and she is the CEO. And she also has this amazing firm called CaPP Institute. So, coaching and positive psychology. We're going to get into that a little bit today. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the projects that she's been working on lately. But I want to show you this because she's been on not one, but two of our Thrive Today journals. Welcome, Valerie.
I'm
So great to
so
have you.
honored by that I'm just amazed, and your covers in the magazine always look so good.
They are so beautiful, and I have to say that is the design prowess of Colleen Rouse. She loves to
Yeah.
just put so much love and energy into this journal, and so it shows with each and every one. Well, I wanted to spend a minute, just catch us up with what you've been up to. I know since the last time we had you, we were trying to figure it out. I think it was 2021, the last time we had you on the podcast. So a lot has happened in what would be probably almost 3 years, right? So I'd love to just hear a
Yes.
little bit about what you've been up to.
Well, just the things that I love most. My mission is around inspiring women to live more fulfilling lives. This is our 4th year going into the Successful Women's Academy, which is my personal growth membership. I'm so passionate about the fact that oftentimes when we have goals, we think it's all about, the tangible goal, but it's usually the way that you need to grow that's most important and gets missed. And so if you don't grow in the ways you need to grow, you can't get to those goals. You can't get to that vision. So working with these women on a monthly basis has been amazing. And then, of course, in the CAP Institute, not only have we continued to do our regular coach training intensives, which is our 3-day, every quarter we do this coach training intensive and our certification program for coaches, but we are about to launch an advanced program. So we are accredited as a level 1 program with the International Coaching Federation, and we are about to go to be a 125-hour coach training program, which takes people to an even higher level of a coaching credential. So those things going on. I've got a bonus daughter who started college this year.
Wow.
Our middle one is 16, and my son is about to turn double digits. Oh my goodness.
You were busy mom, busy wife, and then you have all these phenomenal different programs that you're working on. I thought it would be really cool since we're still kind of in the new year to talk a little bit about some of the vision boarding that you've been doing. And what I loved about what we were talking about, you said you have women joining, you have people joining from 30 countries into this program.
Oh my goodness. In early January, I like to do what I call the Vision Board Challenge. It is a 5-day free 30 to 45 minutes a day. I spend it, at lunchtime Eastern time, because some people it's middle of the night and they're still joining us to help them get clarity for this new year.
Mhm.
And this is not like about New Year's resolutions so much. I take them through a whole process, creating what I call a vision manifesto, which is
Mhm.
very research based, but also very biblical in writing the vision very clearly and in the present tense. Then in writing the vision or creating the vision board. Natalie, I don't know if you know this. I didn't for years, but there's actually scientific research around images. Like when we see pictures, like on a vision board, our brain prioritizes those things differently.
Wow.
And so it's called value tagging. So we naturally move towards images more than we do words. And so while a vision board might sound like a great crafts project and something fun to get together with your kids or your girlfriends to do, there's scientific evidence that it actually helps to pull you forward towards your vision. And then I help them move through growth gaps. We do some guided meditations and prayer and just really kick the year off in an intentional way. And
Wow.
we do all of that as a part of the Successful Women's Academy. It's kind of a preview for people to get what we're doing when I'm talking about personal growth.
That's really powerful. I've never actually heard that stat. The stat that I love to lean into, because I do a lot in the visual thinking space and like design thinking, is that people can process images 60,000 times faster than text, and that people make decisions 14% faster when visual thinking is used. So I love that Though some of the studies and the work that I've been doing are now
It's aligned.
colliding. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
A
it's
picture
really
really is worth 1,000 words. That's
mhm,
not just a cliche, it's really true. We can convey so much with images, and so when you keep the images in front of you that reflect who you want to be and where you're aiming, and you do that on an everyday basis. I have several vision boards in here that I've taken out because 'cause I've been doing the vision board challenge, and sometimes it's just a matter of, I'm walking by, I keep one in my closet, and I'm just reminded, "Oh, yeah,
mhm,
don't lose sight of that," right?
yeah,
So, it's almost building your subconscious to
mhm,
remember, "Here's where I'm going," and that literally can change how you show up every day,
yeah,
how you're making decisions, because we need to be reminded, we're busy.
mhm.
Vision board keeps us reminded of what we're aiming for.
It's really powerful. How do you take that vision board and then bring that into your day-to-day? What are some of the things you're advising people on how to bring that into everyday life?
Well, first of all, you want to keep it somewhere you're gonna see it every single day. I keep mine in my dressing room/closet. I literally, frame it and hang it. Also, I think it's a great idea these days to do a digital vision board.
Mhm,
So, I do that and keep it as a screensaver. I've known of, women who are keeping it on a bathroom mirror or in their bedroom or in the kitchen. Like, if you are framing it and making it nice, there's lots of places you can put it where you're gonna see it all the time. Might be by the door as you head out, and you just remind yourself as you're going out into your day, "Here's what I'm aiming for in my
mhm.
relationships, my work, my health, my finances, my spiritual life. Here's who I am, and here is what I'm doing. Here's what I'm walking towards."
Wow. That's powerful, and I think a lot of us, right, we like to journal maybe our resolutions, let's call them, and then you open that journal a year later and you say, "Uh-oh, I haven't looked at this, in a very long time." And so I love the idea of just keeping that constantly in front of you, and like you said, that's a very biblical way of approaching vision as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's powerful. Well, talk I wanna learn a little bit more about your coaching, training, and certification stuff because I feel like there's a lot of people that I've talked to recently that are tuning in to Thrive and that have this desire, this heart to coach others. I've probably talked to just like probably 3 or 4 people even just this week
Wow.
that have said, "Hey, I'm starting to think about what it may look like to move into this lane." And I would love to know just a little bit more about how you approach this world.
So that's exciting to hear. I mean, coaching works, and that's why we're seeing so much growth in the coaching industry. I started coaching in 2002. So it's been more than 2 decades. I think because, not only was I coaching, but I was being coached, and I can see how coaching is a resilience tool. It's a skill. It helps you navigate from where you are to where you really wanna be, and all those obstacles, all those things in between that you can't even predict when you first decide where you're going. It helps you to be able to navigate those successfully. And so a lot of people have natural coaching skills. In fact, people may have been calling you a coach, and they're calling you that because you're helping them move forward. That doesn't necessarily mean you're using the discipline of coaching. So as I began coaching and I saw how it was working, I began wondering, is there proof that this works? Because being that it's still considered fairly new as a profession, not nearly new as it was when I got started 20 plus years ago. And that's when I discovered positive psychology, which is unlike, we tend to think of traditional psychology as fixing what's wrong, which is
Mhm.
important. Positive psychology is the study of what happens when things go right, what helps you flourish? What helps you perform at your highest level? What happens when you tap into your strengths or you're expressing gratitude or connecting authentically with people? As it turns out, it's a success strategy. All of those happiness triggers, all of those good things about life actually broaden your scope of thinking, help you make better decisions. So I realized that there was already this academic and research based foundation for coaching. And so I set upon the mission of blending those to really help people approach coaching in a research-based way and to have a framework. Part of what we do in the CaPP Institute is teach what we call a SARA, which is the structure of a coaching session that really gives them the confidence that every single time they can help a person make meaningful progress and get results in the context of a coaching session.
How would you recommend someone get started if they were to say, "Okay, I'm in. Everything I've listened to, I feel like this is the call for me this year." What would be some advice of how someone would start to step into that? Especially, let's just say they're in corporate America, or maybe they're in a lane where they know they're really gonna have to shift in order to do this.
I think the most important thing is to take it seriously as a profession and get trained.
Mhm.
The thing about coaching that makes some people skeptical, myself included when I started, is that it's not regulated. Therefore, anybody can say I'm a coach. You
Right.
can't do that if you're a CPA or financial
That's
planner
right.
or even a fitness trainer. You can't just go out and say, "Yeah, come on, I'll help you lose weight." It's like, no, you've got to have passed certain standards and tests.
Yeah.
So the profession has become much, much more professionalized. There are credentials and standards and so forth, even though it's not licensed or regulated. So
Mhm.
I would say start with training. One of the reasons we set our program up the way that we did is because sometimes what we really need is like a test drive. Something that gives us the foundational skills, but it's not a long-term commitment. Time-wise, it's not a huge commitment financially. And that's what we do with the coach training intensive. It's 3 days. It's over the course of a weekend. So those first 2 days are all coaching skills, advanced coaching skills that get you coaching right away. The third day is all business development. So if someone's like, I really want to just coach internally in an organization, they may choose to just do the 2-day version. That's what I did when I started. My first training was with the late Thomas Leonard, who's considered kind of the founder of the coaching profession. And I was like, let me test this out. Everybody keeps calling me a coach. I'd already written some books at that point. And I would do media, and they kept calling me a coach, and I'm arguing with them. I'm not a coach. I don't actually coach. I don't have clients. They're like, "We have to call you something."
Yep, yep, right.
And so I was like, this keeps coming up. Let me try this 2.5-day training. And let
Wow.
me tell you, I was like, I just found my people. Like, I couldn't get enough, and that was my sign to keep going.
Yeah.
So I think it can be really helpful to find a program that allows you to get a kind of a taste of it, get your feet wet, and then you can decide, "Oh, do I wanna become certified in this? Do I really wanna make a transition without making a humongous commitment before you know if your hunch is actually correct?"
Well, I love something you said in there because I really think it's a critical business principle, which is your customers were telling you who you were. And it's interesting when people around you start to name what you do, even if you don't see it that way. They're kind of like, "No, this is a skill that's in you. This is something you have inside of you." And I think that's one of the keys to someone who may be listening to this and they're always, you know, giving people advice. They're always helping people out in their company. They're always kind of pouring out advice and helping people navigate. It kind of starts to you kind of start to see that show up as a pattern in your life.
You do, and you know what's kind of funny because I had a PR firm before. I was in marketing and PR. I was good at it, wasn't passionate about it, and, that's when I kinda discovered my purpose. The Holy Spirit was very clear to me about that and started writing, but it was interesting because I didn't have anything to call myself. So I had made up a title, which was life enrichment specialist. How's that for a mouthful, right? What do you do? I'm a life enrichment specialist. So that's what was happening. I was living in Dallas at the time and I was on the NBC station every week. I was doing a segment on ABC radio every week and they're like, "We're not calling you a life enrichment specialist on the air. Like life coach it is."
That's awesome. That's awesome. I wanna lean into something that you said kind of at the beginning of our segment where you said something around the fact of the way you need to grow. I wanna spend a few minutes on that because I thought that was a very profound statement, and I think that, again, as we think about the new year, fresh start, brand new page to turn in our journal and also in our life, what should we be thinking about when you say the way we need to grow this year? What does that really mean? Can we unpack that?
Yeah, 'cause we all have growth gaps. Let's say the goal that you've set is around getting healthier. and you are like, "Gosh, over the last few years, I've gained 20 pounds. I'd like to get that off." But you've done that before. You've lost it. It's come back. And you think about what is the reason that I keep struggling in this area. This is just an example, okay? No, don't get offended if this is your category. It could be something else. Mine used to be emotional spending, right? I
Mhm.
was shopping way too much. Same principle. It's not enough to say, "What do I need to do?" We all know what to do to lose
Yeah.
weight.
Yeah.
We need to, generally speaking, eat healthier, eat better,
Mhm.
move more. That's
Mhm.
generally it, unless you've got some other type of medical condition.
Right.
For the vast majority, that's it.
Mhm.
Why don't you just do it? Right? Why don't you just do it consistently? Because it's hard, because there tends to be other things that are getting in the way.
Yeah.
Whether that is a struggle with consistency and discipline, right? Those can be growth gaps. Consistency can be a growth gap. And if
Mhm.
it is, it's not just showing up in eating habits or exercise habits. It may be showing up in other ways. If discipline, same thing. If the issue is, you really are just overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You've got so
Mhm.
much on your plate. You'd like to eat better. You don't have time. You're picking up fast food because you need food fast and it's convenient and it's there. And even though you know it's not good and you feel guilty when you're biting into that whatever it is that you bought, you realize it meets the need because you're overwhelmed, overloaded, and you're just trying to do what you need to do.
Mhm.
So growth gaps are noticing, what would I actually have to do differently? How do I have to grow in order to get to this goal? Because it's not enough to just know what steps to take.
Mhm.
If you want to go to the next level in your career and you realize that executive presence is a growth gap and it has to do with your confidence level, that when it's time for you to present in a meeting, you're not coming across as confident. So I can tell you, here's what you should present. Here are the elements of the presentation. Here are the words that you need to say.
Mhm.
That still doesn't mean that you're going to show up with confidence.
Right.
So if you recognize that the growth gap is confidence, now you're not just focused on the how to of a presentation. You're peeling back the layers to say, what is this confidence gap?
Mhm.
Confidence is the stuff that turns our thoughts into action. Why am I not moving into action? What is this imposter syndrome I am dealing with? Why is it that I see other people as more capable when in fact I'm oftentimes more capable, but don't give myself credit?
Okay.
You realize you've got to address those things. And once you address those things, taking the steps, that's just like, of course, we know what the steps are easy to figure out.
Right.
Many people have been there and done that. It's when it's time to take the steps. What are you doing? What's getting in the way?
Mhm. That's so good. I even think about that stat that's been out there forever, right? 55% of communication is body language, it's how you look. It's only 7% is really what we even say. So to your point, if you're walking into the room and that confidence is lacking, people are going to see it on your face and in your body language before you ever open your mouth to say a word. And they've already prejudged your level of confidence before you've ever opened your mouth. So I
You can
think that's so.
sabotage all the work you've
Mhm.
done to have the right words and the right
Mhm.
visuals because you're not believable. It's
Yes.
throwing them off. She's saying the right thing, but I'm not sensing that she believes it. I'm not sensing the confidence that this is actually going
Mhm.
to happen. That's important stuff. And so the growth gaps are huge. That's a huge part of our own personal growth. That's what it's all about.
That's so powerful. I mean, I wish this for every woman, for them to really understand who they are and to be able to take up space in a room and to be able to be confident and to bring their whole self to the table. To me, coaching is just the doorway, right? Entrance into being able to really understand how to do that. Because you
Yeah.
have somebody that's willing to look at you and give you feedback and to help you press into why don't you feel confident? You
Yeah.
you know this information backwards and forwards. Why don't you feel confident?
Yes, and with coaching, very importantly, a great coach creates a safe space for you to be really honest
Mm.
about what is going on. There's no judgment in coaching. If you keep messing something up, they're not fussing at you. And really, in coaching, what we're saying is the client has their answers. I'm not coming to you telling you how to do what you need to do. I'm walking right alongside of you as a coach, and I'm helping you glean your own wisdom because you know answers.
Mhm.
You need the right questions, you need the right environment, you need the right inspiration, but the answers are there. And that's what makes coaching so unique. It actually builds confidence because as a coach, I'm looking at you going, you know more than you're giving yourself credit for. Now, let's talk about that. Let's talk about what's really going on when you're stepping up to the plate to give that presentation. What are you actually saying to yourself?
Mm.
If you're having a negative reaction, what's the thought leading to that reaction? And is that thought helpful? Or is there a more constructive thought you could begin having? And we can be intentional right now about identifying what that is. And then out of that coaching session, you're going and you're testing that out. And then you're coming back to the next coaching session. And we know, okay, what happened? You took
Mhm.
action. Let's learn from the action. And you're building very intentionally towards that personal growth.
That's so good. I want to make this actionable for the women that are listening right now. Could you give us maybe some thoughts on maybe one or two questions we could ask ourselves, maybe even as we look back on the previous week and reflect on maybe meetings we were in, presentations we gave, how we did? Can you give us maybe some reflective questions that we can start to begin asking ourselves?
Sure. The first is to know that reflection is a personal growth tool.
Mhm.
That when we inquire of ourselves about what's gone right and we intentionally notice it so that we can repeat it,
Mhm.
that's powerful. So, I'd first of all practice a bit of self compassion when you look back over your week. As women, we can be very hard on ourselves. So, we're not reflecting in order to beat ourselves up.
Right. That's
We're
right.
reflecting to learn, reflecting to grow. So you're stepping back and you're saying, "All right, what am I most proud of this week? What did it take for me to get through this week?" That's very important. If
Mhm.
you notice what it took for you to get through it, you may notice some things that you hadn't before that you can say, "Oh, I need to do that every week." Right? Maybe you reached out for help in some way and you hadn't really thought about it. Yeah, you could reach out that way again. So, what am I most proud of is important. What did it take for me to get through this week? So, what helped me? What strengthened me would be a really good question. And then I think it's really important to ask yourself, what did I learn
Yeah.
that I can use moving forward? Another version of that question is, what was the message for me this week? What was the message?
Yeah.
So, those simple types of reflection questions can be very powerful in accelerating your growth because it's easy to just rush through your weeks and not notice. Or if you have a bad week, you think there's nothing to learn from it. Actually,
Mhm.
there's a whole lot to learn from the bad weeks, right? What was
Absolutely.
that week trying to tell you?
Right.
What's it trying to teach you so we don't repeat that again?
Mhm.
Right?
Mm.
So those things are important, not for beating yourself up, but for saying, what will I do differently this week or
Mhm.
next month? What will I do differently this year than last year? And what will I take from the previous week or the previous year that worked well that I can use as I move forward?
Wow. This is so good. I feel like you just gave us a coaching session. Thank you.
That's my goal.
Well, where can people find you and follow you and maybe even talk about some of your more recent, materials that people can get their hands on as well?
Yes. First of all, go to valerieburton.com. There's some really great, even free resources. I've got a free mini training on how to coach yourself that I think you'll find really helpful. We actually created in conjunction with a book I wrote called Life Coaching for Successful Women. And then there is another one called Your Success Path, where I talk about the 5 stages of success. We don't often notice we need to get through all 5 of these stages before we get to our finish line. So those are some very helpful free resources that you'll find there on the website. Let Go of the Guilt is the most recent book, how to stop beating yourself up and take back your joy. And it's actually a whole coaching process. I find that successful women in particular struggle with guilt even more
Wow.
than others. Part of that has to do with the fact that conscientiousness is the most common personality trait of successful people. And those who are conscientious have strong feelings about what they ought to be doing every day, right? So, those are some resources I think you'll find helpful. And then, of course, on social media as well. It's just at Valorie Burton on all the social media. And Valerie spelled like Valor, Valorie.
Awesome. Well, it was so good to have you with us today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Natalie. I enjoyed it.
Well, ladies, if you haven't taken the opportunity to get into community, let me take a moment to ask you, what are you waiting for? We want you to head over to thrivetoday.com and sign up to receive more information about how you can take back your career and put amazing resources at your fingertips. So head over to thrivetoday.com and follow us on Thrive Today Women on all the platforms. Ladies, as you live your life, do it with leadership, community, and strength. And we'll see you next time. Don't forget to thrive.